Welcome to Driving Shift. I decided to start this video series to cover the restoration of my next project car and get it on the road rather than just do some short blog posts, because I thought this would be more informative, and this is honestly the type of show that I like to watch, similar to watching Ed on Wheeler Dealers and other shows like that. Although I'm definitely a hobby mechanic, not a professional like him, but they're the kind of guys we learn from. For this series, I am working on this car, which behind me is a 1934 Chrysler CA Sedan. Now, for the purists out there, this is not an all-original car. It's not a survivor car, and it doesn't have all original running gear in it. It was originally restored by my father in the late 60s and early 70s in time for his wedding when he was 18. And is a solid restoration, and it does still start, but it definitely needs work. The engine hasn't seen any work in several decades, and it's mostly just popped around our property without leaving the driveway very much. So it's got things like the brakes are long since toast, and the engine's definitely rough, but it should still be usable with just some minor overhauling. For a little bit of history on the car, like I said, it was originally pulled out of the bush as a bit of a wreck back in the late 60s by my father, and then he restored it along with my grandfather at the time to essentially what is seen here. It runs, it drives, some stuff's original, some stuff isn't, and, well, for the plans for the car, I want to keep going the same direction. This isn't going to be a hot rod. I want it to look relatively period correct for the 1930s. Alright, so like we said, this is a 1934 Chrysler CA Sedan. I've seen other pictures that the color combination actually does seem to be close to original, although like I said, this is far from an original car. It is restored and meant to be on the road and driven. It's not going to be in a showroom. I want to be able to go to show and shines, ice cream on Sunday with it, and other activities like that. That's its purpose. Eventually, over time, if I have the time and the interest and the finances to do more original work, like putting a Chrysler power plant and drivetrain in it, or other cosmetic details, as you'll see with like the interior and whatnot, and some of the scratches on the paint, we'll get to those. But first, I want to make it a running driver car that can be out and get used, with one of the objectives being getting used in time for my own wedding in October of 2016 coming up. So it's a bit of a tight timeline given now I still have a full-time job. And disclosure on that, I'm not a mechanic by trade. I'm an IT guy. I work on servers, computers, which is why I think I bring a bit of a different angle to these, because this isn't like a show where I'm professing to be a mechanic with loads of years of experience. So let's go over the car a bit. As you can see, overall, the paint is in excellent condition on this car. It's got some scratches from when it was stored in various areas through its life, but nothing significant. It's still got a good original hood emblem. Okay, so changing views a bit here. I'm going to first open up the engine bay, and we'll have a look what it's equipped with. Like I said, it's not all original, but it's a good, solid engine. It'll be easy to get parts for, but it does need some TLC. Here we go. Big old heavy panels to get in there, and a little... So, there we have it. Inside this is a Chevy inline 6 194 that came out of a 64 or 65 Chevy II sedan. And it's mated up with its original 2-speed power glide that came with that car or another similar car. And it's an actual runner. It's a little dirty and tired. It's been parked for a long time. I started about a year or two ago with some fresh fuel and a little bit of fresh oil, and it ran. It was decidedly rough, but it actually did smooth out, and I was able to put the car in gear and move it around a bit to get it parked here. With the bigger problem being that the tires are flat spotted from sitting so long. But moves, runs, and this is the engine we're going to restore with, because these 194s, they made them for 40 some years according to the research I've done, and even later in countries like Brazil where they kept putting them in cars. So it's a good, solid engine, and we're going to start getting some parts for it and take it apart and do some cleanup to some of the wiring and see where we can get. It'll definitely need carburetor cleaned up because it's had no fuel run through it, and I think we're going to add an electric fan in front of the radiator if we can fit one, because my father did mention when it was running, it ran a little warmer than he would like, even though it's got a different radiator from its original one in there, but it's a relatively different opening and style, so we'll probably add that as well as keeping the stock fan on the inside. Okay. Alright, so we'll close that up, and then we'll move on to some of the interior. As far as the rest of the drivetrain, the rear end is out of a similar car. Best details say it's an Oldsmobile or something, but it's a GM-based rear end. And they're all a 5-bolt setup. And like I said, I want to keep this looking relatively original. These steel red rims as they are. It looks very 1930 daily driver type car, which is the look I am going for. Now, this car from 1934 was a suicide door car, so I opened them from there. So, like I said, some of the interior was done to get this car on the road. Some of these panels I might be able to recover or come up with a solution later. My first focus is to get it running and driving. Speaking of the driving part, one of its remaining issues to fix that will be one of the bigger challenges is the front end to the car, unlike the other driving train, is the original front end, which means it is an original style drum brakes on the front, and those obviously will be hard to find parts for. There'll probably have to be a custom reshoe, and eventually it'll probably get some kind of different front end, but for this project, if possible, we're going to stick to the original. The drum brakes are fine to drive around on for cruising, and it'll be less of an effort, I believe, hopefully, than restoring or putting in something like a Mustang 2 front end or other common hot rod front ends. I know for the purists, you would probably cut up a New Yorker or something and from the 70s or 80s and put that front end in there. And those are all good solutions, but that's a lot more time and effort. I'm not much of a welder as far as frame welding, and I would like to try to stay away from that if I can. And I do have a shop in my local town that said they can help deal with things like the kingpin-based steering and helping check the drums and whatnot to see if they're usable or if we need to find or machine something. So on to the interior. Definitely done in the 70s, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It looks like a nice old car. Door panels and stuff I can redo, along with some of the other interior. But nice, clean, solid dash with some extra gauges to run it. And there's the shifter for the 2-speed power glide. And we're going to keep that because that's a solid unit. Drag guys have been using it for a long time, and there's no reason to replace it. So there we go towards the back. Same, solid, clean car. And out of anything, the headliner actually needs nothing. It was redone when the steel roof replaced the wood paneling that was in there, and there's no reason to replace that. And like one of those quirky things of these old cars, for its venting in the front, it's actually got, still working, the handle driven, rotate the window out a little, get some airflow. It's actually kind of a cool feature that we're definitely retaining for this. Although the rubber seals down there will eventually need to be redone. There we go. So there we have it. Now these doors are a little sticky. They'll need some adjustment as part of this project. But there we have it. It is a 1934 Chrysler Series CA Sedan. And we're going to try and get it on the road through this summer and see where we can get. Hopefully you'll tune in and check these videos out. And any comments or advice, absolutely. Throw them my way and keep following. Thanks for checking this out.